Let's join hands with government and make our environment conducive for business to thrive. Good afternoon and welcome to Business News on RSTV, Channel 22 Port Harcourt. I am Catherine Ago. You can watch RSTV News live on YouTube at RSTV Online and on Facebook at RSTV22PH Online. You can subscribe or click on the notification bell for updates on our live feeds. The federal government says it has finalized payment of 1.02 billion naira to 7,091 pensioners of the power and transport sector of the Parastatals Pension Department. The Head Corporate Communications Unit, Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, Olugbenga Ajayi, disclosed this in a statement on Sunday in Abuja. The statement said the payment represents 39% of the accrued pension arrears owed pensioners in the said sectors for the period August 2015 through September 2023 as a result of the computation of the monthly pension of pensioners of PAPD based on their career details, salary structures, and applicable pension increments. According to the report, the arrears were ascertained during the back-end computation exercise conducted by PTAD, where it was discovered that 7,091 pensioners in the power and transport sector were being underpaid based on the payroll inherited by PTAD. The Executive Secretary of PTAD, Dr. Choma Ejikeme, said the back-end computation exercise was necessitated by the need to ensure that each pensioner earned their rightful pension for fairness, equity, and justice in line with the Directorate's mandate. She assured federal pensioners under the defined benefit scheme that the federal government was committed to their welfare and the arrears will continue to be paid until all accrued pension arrears were liquidated subject to the government funding. The market capitalization of the Nigerian Exchange Limited appreciated by 5% during the month of October, resulting in a gain of 1.707 trillion naira for investors. NGX market capitalization had closed September at 36.331 trillion naira and closed October at 38.038 trillion naira, while the all share index moved by 2,845% basis points or 4.29% to close the month at 69.236. Activities on the local bourse had been boosted by the listing of Nigeria's Infrastructure Debt Fund and the VFD Group in the month of October, while the NGX reclassified 4 security from low to medium capitalization: FCMB, NEM, Transact, and Fitson. He said the performance will encourage investors to strategically position themselves ahead of the upcoming fiscal year 2024 earning and dividend season. The federal government says preparations are underway for the expected upsurge of Nigeria's population. Ahmed Dangiwa stated that during the commemoration of 2023 World Habitat Day and World Activities Day held in Abuja recently, the 2023 World Habitat Day and World Cities have had the theme, Financing Sustainable Urban Future for All. He stated that over half of the country's population was living in urban centers and expected to go as high as 60% by 2030. He declared that the government would address the challenge of the ballooning population through effective urban planning, management, and building the needed resilience and innovations to absorb the expected shocks. Capital markets operators have been urged to harness technology's potential to boost their operations while being cautious of associated risk. The President FinTech Nigeria, Ade Bajomo, stated this during his keynote address at the 12th Annual Conference of the Institute of Capital Markets Registrars over the weekend. The conference was themed, Navigating Nigeria's Economic Realities, the Transformation Power of Technology in the Capital Market. Bajomo said the technology has the potential to be a powerful equalizer to play a part in the 5th industrial era of technology. Speaking on the topic, empowering market participants through education and capacity building, the Executive Commissioner, Operations, Security and Exchange Commission, Dayo Obisan, advised registrars to first of all identify the participants in the sector, which has changed due to technology, in order to educate them. The event featured the institution of 5 honorary fellows and 9 fellows held, while 27 associates were inducted. The stock markets closed last weekend on a positive note as investors smiled home with 1.7 trillion naira. The Nigeria Exchange Limited (NGX) market capitalization, which represents the total value of investment in the exchange, surged to 38.556 trillion naira on Friday from 36.885 trillion naira the previous week. Similarly, another stock market gauge, the NGX All Share Index (ASI), went up by 4.6% to close on Friday at 70,196.77 points from 63,136.58 points the previous week. The ASI had reached a new the high of 70,584.70 points last week, Wednesday, signifying elevated market strength. The analysis of trading last weekend showed that year-to-date return rose to 36.97%. A total turnover of 2.45 billion shares worth 40.570 billion naira were traded in 37,959 deals last week by investors, in contrast to a total of 1.44 billion shares valued at 25.418 billion naira that exchanged hands the previous week in 28,933 deals. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 1.48 billion shares valued at 21.160 billion naira traded in 16,671 deals, thus contributing 60.39% and 52.16% to the total equity turnover volume and value respectively. Licenses for oil and gas projects in the North Sea are set to be awarded annually under government plans. There is currently no fixed period between licensing rounds, but this would change under a bill to be announced in Tuesday's King's speech. Ministers said projects would have to meet net zero targets and claimed the policy would boost energy security. Greenpeace said encouraging oil and gas production was backward-facing and vowed to fight new licensing in court. The plans draw a dividing line between the Conservatives and Labour, which says it wants to focus on investing in renewable energy rather than fossil fuels. Labour has said it will honor existing licenses granted before the next general election, but would not allow any new ones if it win power. American meat processor Tyson Foods says it is recalling around 30,000 that's 13,608 kg of chicken nuggets after metal pieces were found in the product. The firm said the voluntary recall is out of an abundance of caution. The nuggets were produced at one facility and shipped to distributors in 9 U.S. states, including Alabama, California, and Illinois. The U.S. Food Safety and Inspection Services, FSIS, said it had received 1 report of minor oral injury. The FSIS said anyone concerned about an injury or illness should contact a healthcare provider. Tyson added that customers who had purchased the product should discard it and contact the firm. This is not the first time Tyson had to exercise a recall. In 2022, Tyson shut a number of chicken processing plants in the U.S. due to a slump in demand. British Steel plans to close down its blast furnace in Scott Hall, putting up to 2,000 jobs at risk. The business owned by China's Jingyi Group wants to replace it with 2 electric arc furnaces one at Scont Hub and one at Teesside. Reports say the construction is expected to take within 2 and 3 years. British Steel said it aimed to transform the firm into a green and sustainable company and had to look at different scenarios to help it do this. Unions estimate the shift could ultimately lead to loss of 1,500 to 2,000 jobs, predominantly at Scont Hub. According to the report, the Department for Business says the proposals are part of a plan involving package of taxpayer support of up to £500 million for British Steel, which mirrors a package agreed for rival Tata.
The unions say the plant has been let down.
That's the business news as produced by Joy Edmond and supervised by Obiandu Madumi. I am Catherine Ago. Stay tuned for foreign tidbits. Good afternoon.
Audio Jungle.
Sabi, make una plan well.
Learn correct information about different kind of family planning method. Then they safe and they work well. You and your partner fit plan when una like to born pikin.
Tanda well, make you yarn with your partner. Make them sabi say you support modern family planning.
Oya waka go color be the better one wey go fit your body today. Cause say we get one wey correct for you and your partner.
Sabi the correct thing wey family planning they do. Follow talk family planning with your partner. Waka go do family planning. Get it together. Get it together. Join hand plan your family for tomorrow way better.
Now the Rivers State Ministry of Health bring with this message.
I come from a people who believe.
Her people with the will and the way.
I come from a people united by passion,
Determination to succeed and to succeed.
We are a people who overcome all challenges. As a people, we create hope for the future.
We are one people, united by a common bond, to create the rivers of our dreams.
I believe in the security of our people.
And I believe in the unity of our heritage.
I believe in the oneness of our people.
Together we are determined to succeed. Together we are River State.
One people, one heritage, one goal.
One rivers, one faith, one responsibility.
This is my responsibility.
This is my rivers.
Our state, our responsibility.
Good to have you join us on Foreign Tidbits. My name is Ibigoni Kalio. Paul Biya marks 41 years in power. Tyson Foods recalls U.S. nuggets after metal pieces found. Plus, Moldova counts local election votes as authorities accuse Russia of meddling. Once again, good to have you join us on Foreign Tidbits. Ghana's ruling NPP party has elected the country's vice president, Mahamudu Bawumia, as their candidate for the 2024 presidential ballot. According to results from primaries released by the Electoral Commission, Ghana is undergoing its worst economic crisis in years, which will be a major electoral issue next year when President Nana Akufo-Addo steps down after 2 terms and an agreement for a $3 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund. According to the final results, Bawumia won 61.4% of the votes, while his nearest rival Kennedy Ohene Agiapong won 37.4%. Bawumia had already won the first round of NPP voting, and as the first Muslim candidate to lead the ethnic Akan and Southern-dominated party, he had positioned himself to bridge some of Ghana's regional divisions. Ghana, a major cocoa and gold producer, also has oil and gas reserves, but its debt load has expanded. Like other sub-Saharan African nations, it has struggled with the economic fallout from the global pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. Cameroonian President Paul Biya is marking his 41-year rule over the Central African nation. Last year, thousands gathered in the capital Yaoundé for the occasion, but the president did not attend. Paul Biya, a former prime minister, took the reins of Cameroon on November 6, 1982, following the resignation of the country's first president, Amadou Ahidjo. Many voices within the ruling Democratic Rally of the Cameroon people have already called for him to vie in the 2025 presidential election for an 8th 7-year term. Critics of his regime, however, wore black as some cited corruption, bad governance, and an ongoing succession battle. Cameroon's president, who celebrated his 90th anniversary last February, is Africa's second longest serving leader. Under him, Cameroon has faced challenges in recent years that range from a secessionist movement in the country's English-speaking regions to the threat in the north posed by Islamic extremists aligned with the Nigerian-based Boko Haram group. Now, reports reaching our news desk has it that more than 20 people were killed after shells hit a market in a suburb of the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. A committee of pro-democracy lawyers said in a statement it was the latest bloodshed in the fighting since April between the forces of Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his former deputy Mohamed Hamdou Daglo, who commands the Rapid Support Forces. According to the Committee for Pro-Democracy lawyers, the shells hit the market in Omdurman during an intense exchange of fire between the two sides. The report said Omdurman has repeatedly been the site of fierce battles between the two sides. More than 10,000 people have been killed in the Sudan conflict so far, according to a conservative estimate by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. But aid groups and medics have repeatedly warned the real toll exceeds recorded figures, with many of those wounded and killed never reaching hospitals or morgues. However, the United Nations said the war has caused an estimated 5.5 million people to flee, both within Sudan and across borders. The United States Navy has dispatched a guided missile submarine to the Middle East. The posting, which was revealed by the military, said the unusual revelation regarding the location of the ship, which can launch nuclear missiles, suggests a show of force intended to try to contain regional tensions amid Israel-Hamas war. Since the war broke out between Hamas and Israel, the United States, closest regional ally, Washington, has moved significant military assets to the region, including 2 aircraft carriers and extensive fighter aircraft. It has also announced the deployment of around 1,000 American soldiers and the engagement of an unspecified number of special operations commandos who are advising the Israeli military in their Gaza operations. Pentagon spokesperson Brigadier General Pat Ryder said the build-up was aimed at deterring regional escalation and protecting the U.S. and its partners. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has traveled for talks with regional leaders, including Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in the occupied West Bank and Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani in Baghdad. American meat processor Tyson Foods says it is recalling around 13,608 kilograms of chicken nuggets after metal pieces were found in the product. The firm said the voluntary recall is out of an abundance of caution. The nuggets were produced at one facility and shipped to distributors in 9 U.S. states, including Alabama, California, and Illinois. The U.S. Food Safety and Inspection Service said it had received one report of a minor oral injury, adding that anyone concerned about an injury or illness should contact a healthcare provider. The dinosaur-shaped fun nuggets affected by the recall have a use-by date of September 2024. Tyson added that customers who had purchased the product should discard it and contact the firm. This is not the first time Tyson, the largest U.S. meat producer by sales, had to exercise a recall. Last year in November, the firm recalled ground beef after finding pieces of mirror-like material in the meat, and in 2019, the company recalled a batch of its chicken nuggets after customers found pieces of blue rubber inside. In 2022, Tyson shut a number of chicken processing plants in the U.S. due to a slump in demand. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Chinese President Xi Jinping will soon sit down for talks aimed at easing years of tensions in Beijing. Albanese, who landed in Shanghai, is the first Australian leader to visit China since 2016. The visit is seen as a key moment in thawing relations after a string of trade and security disputes. As trade will top the agenda, Albanese is calling for the removal of Chinese tariffs on Australian foods, while Xi is expected to ask for more access to key Australian sectors. His trip follows a diplomatic deep freeze prompted by, among other things, Australia's calls for an investigation into the origins of COVID-19 and economic sanctions enacted by Beijing in key Australian exports such as beef, wine and barley. Australian writer Yang Hengjun, whose health is said to be rapidly deteriorating, has been imprisoned in China on espionage charges since 2019, and Albanese is facing pressure at home to secure his release. Now, Moldovans will elect nearly 900 mayors and 11,000 local councillors for 4-year terms, including top positions like the mayor of the nation's capital, Chisinau. Reports say Moldova's local elections have led to disappointing results for the pro-European party, adding that of 90% of the votes counted, candidates for the Socialist Party and other opposition groups were leading in most cities and district councils. Moldovans cast their ballots in nationwide local elections as authorities say that Russia has been conducting hybrid warfare to undermine the vote in the European Union candidate country. The ballot will be monitored by around 1,500 national and international observers, while local elections in Moldova, a country of about 2.5 million people situated between Romania and Ukraine, wouldn't usually garner much international attention. Ongoing accusations of Russia meddling add a geopolitical dimension to the vote. However, 2 days before the election, Moldova Prime Minister Dorin Risen announced a ban on candidates from the pro-Russian Chance Party. The Hamas-run health ministry says at least 45 people have been killed in an Israeli airstrike at the Al-Maghazi refugee camp. I beg your pardon. The small camp has been experiencing overcrowding because of people fleeing bombardments further north as efforts are underway to find those still missing. The heads of Gaza's Al-Qasr hospital said 52 people were killed in the blast on Saturday night, slightly more than the number given by the health ministry. Residents have been trying to dig with their hands through layers of cement in an attempt to extract those trapped under the rubble. Meanwhile, Israel's military says it is looking into whether it was operating in an area at the time. Speaking to reporters, Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner added that any strikes taking place in southern Gaza were specific intelligence-based strikes, specifically against the terrorist elements. Jordan and Israel have announced the airdrop of urgent medical supplies to a field hospital in the Gaza Strip. Jordan's King Abdullahi II said early on Monday that the Jordanian Air Force had dropped urgent medical aid to the field hospital operated by the kingdom in the enclave since 2009. Israel's military said in a statement that it had coordinated with its Arab neighbor on the drop, which it said also concluded food humanitarian organizations have warned of a growing humanitarian crisis due to shortages of food, water, electricity and fuel caused by Israel's blockade and bombing of the enclave. The airdrop came as United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken arrived in Turkey as a part of a high-stakes diplomatic tour of the region following visits to Israel, the occupied West Bank, Jordan and Iraq. Heads of 18 United Nations agencies and NGOs issued a rare joint statement condemning the siege on Gaza as unacceptable and calling for aid to be delivered safely, swiftly and at the scale needed.
Before the strikes, internet and phone lines were also cut, and the strikes continued overnight.
According to health officials in Hamas-controlled Gaza, more than 9,770 people have been killed in the region, including 4,800 children.
Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, several rockets were flying directly over the city. The rockets were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system.
To end foreign tidbits, a quick look at some of the highlights. Cameroonian President Paul Biya is marking his 41 rule in power in Central Africa in that nation. American food processor Tyson Foods has recalled U.S. nuggets after metal pieces were found in the product. We'd also brought you a report that Moldovans cast their ballots in nationwide local elections as authorities accused Russia of conducting hybrid warfare. That's a foreign tidbits. There'll be more reports at 7:30. Join us then.